Hi, this is Wise Wolf of the online YouTube community, and I just stopped by to ask you, do you have enough food reserves for the inflation that is sure to come? Do you have any food storage in case of a national emergency? Or maybe you're in the camp of, I have food reserves, but just not enough. Well, come on over to eFoods Global, where we have a variety of ready packaged freeze-dried food. I've tried the food myself, and it's delicious. It's easy to make and it's easy to store. So what are you waiting for? Try the free sample at booksmart.myefoods.com and let me know what you think. Again, to try the free sample, go to booksmart.myefoods.com. There's also a business opportunity if you're interested in supplementing your income. Try eFoods Global. It's the gold standard of food reserves. Welcome to the Wise Wolf Project. I'm your host, Wise Wolf. It is February 18, 2011, approximately 11 a.m. And we're going to have a fantastic show today. Wise Wolf is presenting you with Are You a Communist Country? Yeah, so we're going to jump this off. And the way this is going to work, I'm going to go over Karl Marx's The Communist Manifesto, the blueprint for communism, as it were. And he basically had 10 planks or 10 things. If you want to have a communist country, you'd have to have these 10 things in place. So I'm going to go down the list. I'm going to apply this to America, see where we are. Hopefully, we aren't communist, or if so, not too much communist. We proclaim to have capitalist tendencies. Let's see how it works up against this communist quiz. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read off the 10 things, and I'm going to evaluate each one. If we do have that, or if that thing is in place, I give it a 1. If we have part of that thing in place, I'm going to give it a 0.5. And obviously, if it doesn't apply, it gets 0. And at the end of the 10 questions, or 10 planks, I will add up all the points, see where we are, give a percentage, and we're going to take it from there. Now, having said that, I want this to be a swinging thing. So, James, hit it. Now, the first on the list of planks is number 1, abolition of property in land and application of all rents of land to public purposes. You got to give that a 1. All of our money goes to pay for public schoolings, roads, things of that nature. And the abolition of abolition of property in land. We don't own the land, which is why we have to pay taxes. The land, we own the house or the structure that's on the land, but we don't actually own the land, which is why we have to pay taxes. So I got to give that a 1. All right. Number 2. A heavy, progressive, or graduated income tax. Ding, ding, ding. Got to get that a 1. As the more you make, as the saying goes, the more they take. And here is a clip of the current 2010 tax bracket rates. As you see, as you make more, the percentage of what they take goes up. That's a graduated or progressive income tax. So that's a 1. Number 3, abolition of all right of inheritance. Well, I got to give that a 0.5. They haven't abolished all rights. If you have a will, you don't have to if it's a good will, you don't have to go to the probate court. But it's not a natural thing to where if you or someone dies, it automatically goes to their heirs. So it's not an abolition of all right of inheritance, but we're kind of there, so I got to give that a 0.5. Number 4, confiscation of the property of all immigrants and rebels. Well, gotta give that a 0. They don't really take rebels' lands. When I hear rebels, I think militias. If you're doing something illegal, maybe, but not really. As far as immigrants, some of our immigrants who are coming here illegally get more rights than we Americans. So, gotta give that a 0. Number 5, centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. Ding, ding, ding! We have a Federal Reserve who has a monopoly on our money and credit. So it's in the hands of the state, and the state in this sense doesn't mean necessarily the state of Michigan or Rhode Island or Florida or something like that. The state means government body. So at this point, I'd like to take a survey just to see where we are. We're at the halfway point. Number 1, abolition of property and land, so on and so forth. We have a 1. Number 2, a heavy progressive or graduated income tax. We have a 1. Number 3, abolition of all right of inheritance. We have 0.5. Number 4, confiscation of property of all immigrants and rebels. We have a 0. And number 5, we have centralization of credit in the hands of the state by means of a national bank with state capital and an exclusive monopoly. We have a 1. So at this point, when you add up all the points, we have a 1 for 1, a 1 for 2, 0.5 for 3, a 0 for 4, and a 1 for 5, which comes to 3.5. And since this is on a scale of 10, that means we're at 35%. Not the best thing in the world, but hey, at least we're not 50. All right, let's continue on. Number 6, centralization of the means of communication and transport in the hands of the state. Ding, ding, ding. Gotta give that a 1. The FAA runs air traffic. FCC runs communication. We also have the Amtrak, which is in the hands of the state. It's in the hands of the federal government. That's a 1. So number 6 is a 1. Number 7, extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state and bringing into cultivation of wastelands and improvement of the soil generally in accordance with the common plan. We have a partial on that. We do have extensions of the state into factories and instruments of production. The state or the government works hand in hand with companies like Lockheed Martin, Raytheon, Northrop Grumman to do weapons and weapon systems. They don't exactly control every aspect of it, but they do facilitate it. So I have to give that a 0.5. Number 8, equal liability to all labor. Establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. No, not so much. So number 8 gets a 0. Number 9, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries. Gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by more equitable distribution of the population over the country. Number 9, I have to give it a 1. Speaking from the latter part of that, the gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country, what you see is, at least what I've seen, is towns and places I used to go to frequently or dwell in or reside in. The borders of the cities are now into what used to be country. Places that used to have trees and wooded area are now being built up for apartment buildings and residential homes and things of that nature, and those areas are being annexed toward the city or town. So there's becoming a gradual abolition of distinction between what's actually city and what's actually country. And and for the first part, combination of agriculture with manufacturing industries, Monsanto is one of it's an agricultural company, but it's also a manufacturing company. It manufactures seeds. It's a biochem or biotech company, and it's also an agricultural company. So you have that combination, and they're just one of many that are proliferating right now. So number 9 gets a 1. Number 10, free education for all children in public schools, abolition of children's factory labor in its present form, combination of education with industrial production. Ding, 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 ding. That is a 1. We definitely have, especially free education. Most people go to public schools. And they don't really pay anything out of pocket for that necessarily. We don't have child factory laborers anymore. And combination of education with industrial production. Most of us go to school to go work for somebody else. That's essentially what that means. So the educational system is set up for you to work for someone else. It's not set up for you to think for yourself. Not set up for you to be entrepreneurial. It's set up so that the curriculum trains you how to think for the corporations or the industrial production. So let's go back. Number 6, we have centralization of the means of communication and transport in the hands of the state. We have a 1. Number 7, extension of factories and instruments of production owned by the state, bringing into cultivation of lands and the improvement of the soil generally in accordance with a common plan. We have 0.5. Number 8, equal liability to all to labor, establishment of industrial armies, especially for agriculture. We have 0. We have for number 9, for the combination of agriculture with manufacturing industry, gradual abolition of the distinction between town and country by a more equitable distribution of the population of the country. We have 1, and free education for all children in public schools, abolition of child factory labor, combination of education with industrial production. We have a 1. So let's go back down the list. Number 1, we have a 1. Number 2, we have a 1. Number 3, 0.5. Number 4, we have a 0. 5, 1. 6, 1. 7, 0.5. 8, 0. 9, 1. 10, 1. Add it up, comes up to 7. 7 out of 10. And unfortunately for this quiz, this survey, the higher you score, the worse you do. Based on this, America is 70% communist. I thought we were capitalists. Didn't we fight China for being communist? Vietnam, that whole thing about communism and that whole thing. Interesting. Well, furthermore, if you're 70% something, aren't you that thing? Right? Remember, the invisible is more powerful than the visible. Think about it. Got truth? Please subscribe, comment.